Welcome to the CPRE Knowledge Hub series on educational labor markets, problems, mechanisms, and solutions. I'm Peter Goff, professor at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. I'm joined today by Dr. Tony Evers, Wisconsin State Superintendent of Education. Tony, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Peter. It's an honor to be with you and to discuss an important topic.
How do you think about the term shortage, and what evidence do you see of the severity of the problem?
Yeah, that's a great question as far as identifying what shortage means, because our data is primarily anecdotal, and but I think here's an example of the difficulty. If you have had in the past 60 people applying for a job, say an elementary job, and now you have 4, is that a shortage?
Right.
In my book, it is, because the chances of finding a highly qualified, highly effective teacher out of 4 has got to be less chance than if you have 60.
As we broaden this out, we think shortages are only one of the many labor market problems. What do you see as the other labor market problems facing Wisconsin?
There's basically 2 pieces. One is pay. Teachers are, we used to be one of the highest paid, highest compensated state in the nation based on mainly fringe benefits, but that's been kind of diluted. I mean, that's a wash with other states now, and actually with the private sector after Act 10. That's an issue. But a recent, I can't remember, a New York Times article talked about the fact that if you compare teachers to other similarly situated professionals, the pay is like 15 to 20, total compensation is like 15% less. And so young people are going into college saying, do I want to be a teacher? Don't I want to be a teacher? Do I want to do something else? And with more data available to them, they're making a decision. They want to do something else. And that's compounded by the kind of dysfunctional rhetoric we have around public schools. So, if you talk about labor market, most people think private sector labor market, and they should, because that's what we've talked about for years. But how many people that work in the private sector are influenced by dysfunctional commentary, public commentary about their jobs? Like none.
Right.
But you have
usually they've got a tough rap.
Yeah, but for us in the public sector, we're in the public eye, and we have to accept that. And commentary, especially around dysfunction, is harmful.
There was an interesting study not long ago where they were looking at pay for performance, and they had a system where they had pay for performance benefits, bonuses, financial bonuses, but they also had a public recognition of the educator. And in one of the programs, they ran out of funds, but they kept the public recognition. And one of the findings was when they compared the other programs that had both components, the financial and the public recognition, with just the public recognition, the effect of valuing people publicly had almost the same benefits in terms of retention as the financial benefits.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important point when you're mentioning that the compensation for teachers is falling. But at the same time, there's almost this devaluing, I won't say go so far as to say villainization, but a devaluing of what teachers offer. And that's one of the ways they're compensated. So their compensation has dropped, at least in Wisconsin, in 2 primary ways. And I think it's a low cost strategy to increase movement into the field, and it's something we can take advantage of, and it seems like we're not doing very well.
Oh, absolutely. I've said this probably seemingly thousands of times, but the issue of harmful public rhetoric around schools, that can change overnight, and it's not going to cost a penny. So the study that you referenced, that has been proven time and time again. The issue of pay for performance is certainly one that has great political panache, but there's not much to support it. Whereas valuing people in the profession and valuing their profession, people traditionally don't go into the profession only for pay. They do it because they love working with kids and they understand the importance of what they do to not only the state's economy, but to those individual kids that are in front of them.
So how do you see the role of the state, and that being both the Department of Public Instruction as well as the governor's office and the legislature, working to address these problems, both what is being done and what could be done?
Frankly, we're looking, and I think this is something that I feel relatively confident would work with some of our larger school districts, in particular Milwaukee. Why doesn't the state kick in salary money for teachers that are in struggling schools and the high poverty schools in some of our urban area? Kick in some money to make sure those teachers earn $100,000 a year. I mean, it's not going to be a lot of money. It would. There's a tipping point where financial incentives do work, and I would argue that $100,000 would be a tipping point. And so I think there are things where we can do it at the state level in licensing, making that more flexible but high quality, making sure that we look at every dollar that we provide school districts that are flexible, that may have some parameters around them to make sure that they're used to increase, say, prep time for teachers, those type of things that will draw people to the profession. And then also look at ways to funnel money that are very specific to make sure that those dollars are used to make workplace issues more attractive to people. So those are three things that we're thinking about. Another is, frankly, we're hoping to get a small amount of money, but from the state to provide scholarships to folks that want to go into English learning program, becoming an English learner teacher. Certainly we have a great need, and we need to make sure that we encourage people through financial incentives to go into those shortage areas.
Tony, thanks so much for joining us.
Good to see you again. Have a good day.